From 12:30 to 1:30 on WICR.
WICR. Killing it with Kiss, only on WICR.
Stop. David Wright has won 2 Gold Gloves. Not a good throw, though.
Joe and John, why do the Mets still stink?
For the record, have you ever used steroids, human growth hormone, or any other performance-enhancing substance?
No.
Liar! Liar!
Will Hager, New York. The third baseman, number 13, Alex Rodriguez.
Sanchez gets hit, the ball is loose, and it's alive, and then going into the end zone is Steve Gregory.
As a professional quarterback, I know there's nothing more embarrassing than running into the ass of a 300-pound lineman.
Brady's back, Brady's under pressure, Brady's chased, Brady heaves one, down the middle of the field into the end zone, a jump ball, and it's incomplete, and the ball game's over, and the Giants have won Super Bowl 46.
This is Sports Central with Joe D and John Franchini on WICR.
Good evening. Sports Central is back finally at its normal time this week. Thank you all for joining us. Joe D here alongside with John Franchini, the franchise himself.
How's it going, everybody?
Hopefully everyone's bundled up and warm because it's gonna
Snow's on the way.
It's gonna be pretty bad these next couple of days.
Yeah, it's definitely coming. We beat the snow, though. We're not getting canceled again this week.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Thank goodness, because I don't know when we would be able to get this showing, but fortunately enough for WICR, we're on the air again. What is this, the second time in like 4 days?
Yeah, the second time.
Look at that. Look out. Well,
we're
we got
on a roll.
Rolling. And to start off tonight,
we got some big news, Joe.
Big news. Let's hear it, John. What's the big news?
The greatest shortstop in the history of the New York Yankees, the greatest shortstop in the history of New York baseball, has announced, and he's one of the greatest shortstops in the history of Major League Baseball altogether, has announced that he will retire at the end of this upcoming baseball season. Derek Jeter.
Derek Jeter hanging the cleats up.
Number 2.
Now batting the shortstop. Number 2, Derek Jeter. That was terrible. That was awful.
Never do that again. But anyway, you know what's amazing is today, before the announcement of Jeter, who apparently made this decision last Wednesday or something, before the press conference of Tanaka. But what's amazing is everything that's been going on in the sports world recently. Marcus Smart pushing the fan, the defensive end linebacker from Missouri, Sam, coming out of the closet saying that he is a gay athlete. What else is there? You know, Kevin Durant going off last night against the Trailblazers. All this news going on in the sports world. LeBron James, Mount Rushmore, saying he's going to be the best player, top 5 best player of all time. The world has stopped. The sports world has stopped at the announcement of Derek Jeter saying that he will retire at the end of the season. And it shows the impact that he not only had on baseball, but he had on all sports fans across the country.
Yes, and Derek Jeter did come out and say, I thought it was a little strange to announce it via his official Facebook fan page, but did say it.
How did Rivera announce it? Was it a press conference?
I don't recall, but I'm pretty sure it was some type of a press conference. But nonetheless, Jeter left off a nice little note thanking all his fans.
It was a great note.
All his fans, all of his supporters, and also he did say, I've experienced so many defining moments in my career. Winning the World Series as a rookie shortstop, being named the Yankees captain, closing the old and opening the new Yankee Stadium. Through it all, I've never stopped chasing the next one. I want to finally stop the chase and take in the world, which, that leaves you to believe baseball.
Oh, I know exactly. I honestly have a great idea of what he's going to do next.
But nonetheless, baseball is over for Derek Jeter, and
on the field anyway.
On the field, I
think he's going to definitely own the team. Be something of a Magic Johnson type, and be in an ownership group, a Nolan Ryan type.
Of the Yankees, or just any team in general?
A different team. The Yankees are expensive.
Yeah, that's right. I didn't know he has a lot of history with.
He's got a lot of money, but doesn't have that money. Nobody has that money. Maybe Bill Gates has that money. But he definitely has that money.
At the same time now, with like you said earlier, the Yankees yesterday announced Masahiro Tanaka. Today, find out this big news, and this just puts another question mark to the Yankees moving forward.
Yeah, it does, but I think this is a little bit of a relief for the Yankees, because you don't have to worry about moving Derek Jeter to a different position. You don't have to worry, hold the organization back from moving on a little bit, whereas maybe there's a shortstop available they have in the farm system or available in free agency where that can improve their team, but they say, well, we still have Derek because he's here and he's the face of our franchise for the past 20 years and in history. He's one of the biggest Yankees of all time. So, we can't move on, and really that would only be holding them back because he's a shell of himself. He's injury plagued. He can't hit the ball as far. He can't hit for power anymore.
As of late in his career.
Right. 2 years ago he led the league in hits, in the American League in hits. He had 216 hits. So, but after that ankle injury, he also wasn't running as fast, wasn't as, nimble at shortstop. So I feel like, although, this can present some problems for the Yankees going into the future, I think this frees them up as far as,
I think
getting more players, not holding them back.
I think, yes, it doesn't, by him coming out saying this, it allows, it frees them up, less to worry about. They don't need to worry about trying to force him out, anything like that. But at the same time now, after this year, it'll be in 2 years that you have lost Andy Pettitte, Mariano Rivera, and Derek Jeter. Those two, just Mariano and Jeter together, have been such an enormous tandem.
Right.
In baseball in general.
Impact, such a big impact.
Forget about just the Yankees. So the thing is now, who becomes the face of this franchise?
That's tough because, the Yankees went through that transition period before Jeter and Rivera and Pettitte and Posada and Bernie Williams, where they weren't good. They were not a good team, and the face of that franchise was Don Mattingly, who New York revered, but he never got to the playoffs, and he got to the playoffs at the end of his career and lost to Seattle. But the face of the franchise right now,
Brett Garner, they
just lost Cano. Cano would have been.
Exactly. Cano would have been.
Teixeira, no. Because hasn't been. I feel like he just hasn't been there enough,
There's really, you look at it, it's a completely different team.
Ichiro is, obviously
Ichiro's there for a year.
Ichiro's the face of the Mariners. Everybody knew. He's known as a Seattle Mariner. So you really, right now, the Yankees don't have one. They don't have that leader right now. They do. They still do, but they're going to lose that. They're going to lose their captain. They're going to lose the face of their franchise. And there's going to be maybe a 2 or 3 year period where I don't think they're going to have a real face as a franchise. Like the New York Mets, as bad as they are, and as
David Wright is the face of that team.
That's what I'm saying. As bad as they are, and as controversial as they are, they have a face. They have David Wright. The Yankees have a face too. That's Derek Jeter. It's been Derek Jeter since he walked on the baseball field. But they're going through a transition period, and the way the Yankees think, the way they think is it's nothing that money can't fix. Well, I tend to disagree with that.
In terms of leadership, you can't buy leadership.
Derek Jeter wasn't bought; he was signed.
He was
drafted.
You can't buy. You could buy a captain, but at the same time, can he provide that leadership, that guidance that you need? And right now, there's no one on that roster that could provide that. And it's not just Derek. Losing Derek Jeter is gonna hurt. But there's so many other uncertainties to this New York Yankee team just going into next year.
Right. Now, I want to step away from, as not only a Met fan, but as a baseball fan, I'm going to step away from the impact of, as far as looking at the Yankees, I'm going to go into the bigger scale of Derek Jeter and his impact, not only on just the New York Yankees going forward, but what his impact was on the Yankees in his prime, and also the magnitude of this player retiring. I mean, just sit back and say Derek Jeter. You know, when you think baseball, when you walk up to somebody in the street, and you'll say, name a person that plays baseball in the major leagues right now, complete total stranger. Say anybody. I'm gonna guarantee you he'll probably name maybe 3 players, and one of them is gonna be Derek Jeter.
And you know, you go to the ballpark and you see all those jerseys, and you bet.
Number 2.
That's it, all over the place.
Number 2.
Filling Yankee Stadium up.
So I think that this send-off, as much as Mariano deserved all the big, you know, celebrations that he got in every ballpark he went, I think Derek Jeter should get a little more than Mariano did, just because I honestly think that Derek Jeter, I know maybe people tend to disagree with me, but I think he may have had more of an impact on and off the field than Mariano did. But Mariano, the Yankees would have never won any of those World Series without Mariano.
The fact of the matter is Mariano, as an individual player, accomplished everything you could imagine as a relief pitcher, and labeled himself as the greatest to play the game.
Right, and Derek Jeter, to me, is not the greatest shortstop
exactly
ever. But Derek Jeter, to me, he's like the person you want your son to be. When you have a kid and they're gonna go into playing baseball, personally, I would want them to be like Derek Jeter. No? You wouldn't want him to be like Derek Jeter as far as being a role model, being a nice guy. He didn't cheat. He played in the steroid era where everybody was juicing up and hitting 100 million home runs every day. And Derek Jeter, you know, he's been quiet to the media. He's never been in any trouble. He's been a consistent ball player for a classy organization. He's won championships, All-Stars, Gold Glove, Silver Slugger, batting titles, a 3,000 hit. He's a role model. No, I honestly think he's a role model, and I would want, you know, if I were to choose a kid to look up to a ball player in the major leagues, it'd be Derek Jeter. You disagree with that?
No, I don't. No, I don't disagree.
Who else in the major leagues right now would you say people should look up to?
It depends on what, in terms of talent, or in terms of just character.
Character and everything. Obviously, mostly character, but also, you know, people, when you have somebody looking up to a player, they're obviously it has to be a good player. Nobody's going to be looking up to Mike Baxter.
I think that you could find at least one player on probably each.
Trout. I like Trout.
On each team. Do they all have the same impact? No, I agree that Jeter has a lot more of an impact and a popularity to the sport, and especially since we're from New York, he's gotten a lot more recognition. But at the same time, I think when it's all said and done,
right,
that he won't have as big of a
impact as Mariano Rivera.
Yeah. Just
because of
even
Rivera
just
closed all those World Series.
Well, not only that, but even just skill set as a whole. And I know they're completely two different positions, but
right,
as a whole, Mariano is the king of that position.
He is.
Derek Jeter is not the king of shortstop.
Who is the king of shortstops? Honus Wagner, Cal Ripken Jr.
There've been so
many.
Been others.
It's hard. It really is hard.
There's been others where the debate there is no debate when we bring Mariano and relievers.
There isn't. You're right. Which is what separates them a little bit.
But
I think Derek Jeter is, you know, to me, I just have it in my mind is Derek Jeter was always on the field. Rivera pitched 1 inning. I'm not, and he was the best at what he did.
Job.
Right,
that's his job.
I feel like Derek Jeter, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I think him being the good character he is, the good guy he is, made him more. And when people chant overrated, do you actually think that Derek Jeter is an overrated baseball player?
I don't think he's overrated, but I think he's a little above average. I don't think he's spectacular. I don't think he's...
Because people were talking about him being the first to be unanimous first ballot Hall of Famer. That's never happened in the history. Babe Ruth was not a unanimous. Somebody did not vote for Babe Ruth to be in the Hall of Fame.
I don't know. I don't know if that'll happen.
Think about that. Who doesn't think Babe Ruth is a Hall of Famer?
Well, that's foolish. That's just foolish.
Cow. And, you know, as far as Jeter and Rivera go, I think that they deserve to be first. Obviously, they can be first Hall of Famers, but I think they deserve to be unanimous.
I think Rivera becomes the first.
Unanimous.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely. He's...
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No.
Do you think Jeter would get it before Rivera?
No.
Okay. I could agree with that, because if you would have said Jeter would have got it before Rivera,
no. I don't think any. See, if Bonds didn't take steroids, I think it would have been Bonds.
Well, that's out of the question.
Obviously. But I'm saying
That's
Bonds.
not
But the only way, that's how I only see if somebody would be a unanimous vote. If somebody was a clean base, if Ken Griffey Jr. broke the home run record, I think he would have had a shot and stayed healthy throughout his career.
Yeah.
I think he would have had a shot. So I have
It's tough. Nonetheless, they all get there eventually, and they'll still get there on the first time that they're up. They just won't be
right
100%.
Exactly. And also there was another argument today, about the top 5 Yankees of all time, and they were, who are your top 5? You don't know? Not a Yankee guy.
That's tough.
Today it was obviously Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig. You know, this Yogi. Yogi's a baseball legend. Little Yogi.
Joe D.
Joe D. They said Rivera and Jeter were ahead of him. I don't know. It's tough.
It's tough.
The debates go on and on.
There have been so many that have played.
So who do you think gets a bigger send off? Jeter's send off can be bigger than Rivera's?
No.
No.
Rivera. Just in terms of maybe at Yankee Stadium.
I think at Yankee Stadium.
Maybe at
Yankee
Stadium, but he will not attract the entire major league crowd as Rivera's send off did.
You think he gets booed in Boston?
I would hope not. I would hope they showed some respect like they did to Rivera.
Right. They will. They're not told.
Exactly. And I expect them to, but at the same time, I expect maybe Jeter to come out for a curtain call, and that's about it. Not really.
He'll get curtain calls wherever he goes.
Exactly, but not as the plaques, the chairs, and this and that Rivera received.
That's pretty crazy how Rivera got all that stuff.
But when you're one of the best, I mean, you deserve all that credit.
Michael Jordan never even got that.
I guess it's a sport. I don't know. I mean, would Jordan deserve all that? Of course. But
oh yeah, but you know what it is? I guess because Jordan retired twice and did all that nonsense. But you know, all right.
It's definitely a difficult.
To me, it hit me pretty big today. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I was shocked. I was in class.
I wasn't shocked.
I knew it was.
Like,
I knew it was coming, but like.
I wasn't like, holy cow, Derek Jeter's retiring. Oh.
It was only a matter of time. He's turning, 39, 40?
I kind of saw it coming.
I mean, you're on the decline. Injuries continue to happen. You could only...
But I'm happy that he... As bad as this may sound, I'm happy that he declined because it showed that he was a clean baseball player.
That, and also I'm happy for the fact that he didn't... Not that he didn't play the Yankees, but, you know, he didn't put the Yankees in a tough situation where they had to, you know, come up with the ultimatum of... You know, what are we going to do with this guy? He's not really an asset to our team anymore.
Right, and this is the perfect way to get the Alex Rodriguez news out of the news. Because I'm tired of hearing it.
Tired of hearing it, but you're going to be hearing about Yankees baseball all season because of all the acquisitions they made.
How do you think they do this year?
You know what? It's a huge question mark, and they have uncertainty throughout the infield. They're starting pitching.
They have no third baseman.
They're really... Well, here's the thing. You have no A-Rod, so who's your third baseman? Kelly Johnson?
Yeah. Brian Roberts is at second.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Brian Roberts at second, who hasn't stayed healthy, who's been on the injury list for a while now.
Swan Song Jeter.
You got Jeter, who knows how healthy he'll be. It's his last season. You don't know how he'll be. But you have Eduardo Nunez backing him up.
Right, he'll spell him. He can play third, too.
Nunez. He could play some third.
They have some security, but, you know,
they have some security.
It's not really good security.
But at the same time, I think if you add the production between whoever plays third, whoever plays second, and that shortstop, you don't even come close to the production that Robinson Cano would have.
No way.
Not even close.
No way.
Not even close. Getting Teixeira
is huge.
That'll help.
Huge.
Brian McCann, great signing.
Teixeira is the biggest thing for me, though.
Great signing. The outfield.
It's crowded to me.
Way too crowded. You're gonna have a lot of people sitting out on some nights.
They have Ichiro, Soriano, Gardner, Ellsbury,
Beltran,
Carlos Beltran.
It allows for the ability to switch and have players take days off.
I also think there's going to be a trade.
I also think it would be.
There has to be a trade. I mean, it's so crowded.
Who would you trade? I think the only one you get value out of in that outfield is Gardner.
Right.
And I don't think they get rid of Gardner. I think they try to.
I think they might not have a choice.
I think Gardner.
Unless Soriano just comes off the bench.
Gardner may be the next face of that franchise.
Oh God.
Well, I don't know who else could fill that role. They're not gonna.
There is none.
And the same way, there's no.
I'm
no way to
I'm
fill.
telling you, the Yankee fans are going to have to wait until they bring up a prospect in 2 years, 3 years. Because right now the farm system's dry in the Yankees.
And it's the same thing as you go to the pitching. No one's gonna fill Mariano's role.
Right.
And you go to the starting pitchers.
CC's on the decline.
CC's on the decline. I don't think he'll do as bad as he did.
Kuroda's old.
I don't think he'll do as bad as he did last season.
Mm-hmm.
Kuroda had his good months.
And Tanaka, you don't know what
I
you're
think
gonna get.
Yankee fans are expecting him to have those good months again. Same with Ivan Nova, but those aren't expected.
Right.
You bring in Tanaka,
who's not going 24-0 in the major leagues. I'll tell you that. I can guarantee you that.
he may have dominated in Japan, a completely different game here in the major leagues. So you don't know what you could get out of him, and you still brought over you have Pineda, who still hasn't pitched,
right.
And you don't know what you'll get out of him. So there's just a lot of uncertainty around that surrounding that Yankee team.
All right. That's all I got to say about Jeter.
That's all you got to say. You want to talk a little Mets, Jose Valverde? I mean, it's just so depressing that the Yankees are going out spending every single dollar they possibly have, and the Mets bring in Jose Valverde.
Derek Jeter couldn't make the Mets more insignificant more than he did today. The Mets will be an afterthought.
The Mets will
best this year.
The Mets will forever be.
Yeah. It would take a lot for them to take away the limelight. Although there was a point when they did in the 1980s.
Forget it. They'll be forever unnoticed if they continue.
I appreciate that, Joe. Thank you so much for making me feel so good about the Mets.
Hey,
I just want a championship. I want a World Series.
Well, you're gonna be waiting a while,
and nobody will ever take that World Series away from me, Joe.
You could hold on.
Cherish it.
You could hold on to that one as long as you want, because if we're lucky to see one, wow. Because that team is in shambles.
Yeah, their pitching is good, but
their pitching is good, but pretty much everything else is.
They can't hit the broadside of a barn, but
they got a lot. They're another. It's the Yankees on top of the mountain, and it's the Mets who haven't even tried to attempt to climb the mountain.
Right, and I don't think as much as like the quote unquote moves that Sandy Alderson made this offseason. I really don't think it's going to change much.
What moves did Sandy Alderson?
Well, they did get Granderson.
You bring in Granderson, and now
Cologne.
Cologne, who you don't know what you get out of him. Probably won't be as successful as he was last season.
Fat Tolo Cologne.
Fat Tolo Cologne. and you bring in Valverde, who had his good years, but who knows what you'll get out of him? Probably nothing, and he'll stay.
Valverde, he's a minor league contract.
Yeah, and he'll probably stay there.
Yes.
They have too many positions that need to fix.
And Ruben Tejada's at short. Stephen Drew is still out there, who Peter Gammon says he thinks will go to the Mets eventually.
Well, that would be someone nice, but
he can't hit still. He's a good fielder, very good fielder.
I'll believe it when I see it, because the Mets are supposed to be in the runnings for everyone at one point, and they end up getting nobody.
Right. I mean, we'll see.
It's a shame.
I think I'm sticking by my opinion. Whereas Matt Harvey got hurt, and they're being conservative until Matt Harvey comes back next year.
I hope you're right. I hope
you started throwing, by the way.
I hope you foresee the future. I hope you're right.
I hope so too. I really want them to be good, and I think they will be good in a year or so.
All right, we'll take our first break. When we come back, get into the NFL, talk a little Michael Sam. I know last week we led off with some NFL free agency where we got into the offensive position. Tonight we'll dive into the defensive ends and the defensive units, and then also we got to throw in a little NBA action.
All right.
So we'll be back right after this.